Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have Holly Fender here today conducting a training on Foster one-way pneumatic QD profiles. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the question feature and we'll go over all of your questions and comments during the wrap-up section at the end. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Holly.
Thanks, Courtney. Hi, my name's Holly. I'm the Central Regional Sales Manager for the Ideal Trident Group. I've been with the company almost 23 years. I actually started working here in the plant making the Quick Connect couplers. I actually started in the customer service and have worked my way into the inside and outside sales. So I'm very familiar with the Quick Connect couplers, hands-on. So let's get started with the presentation here. The scope of the webinar, we're going to actually talk about how to identify our quick pneumatic couplers out in the field. I've got live pictures that's going to show you where our part numbers are stamped. So you're going to have identifying charts, how to review the products, the applications. We're also going to talk about some new products, our UHF, our EHF Series, and even how to sell talking points when you're out in the field with your customers. The biggest thing here is we're going to learn to save time and money with the correct selection of products. Right now, the #1 return for all of our products here at Foster Manufacturing is an ordered in error. Either the customer gave you the wrong part number, the wrong size, or even just a wrong measurement of some sort. So let's save some money and get the correct product ordered the first time. So who doesn't want to save money? Raise your hand using the raise your hand button if you've ever ordered the wrong product for a customer because of the wrong information. Great, we've all done this. So what is a one-way QD? In this actual picture, it's a part of our industrial series. It's an automatic coupler. Pneumatic couplings are going to have a valve on one side. It's usually the socket, commonly referred to as a one-way coupling. The valve is used to control the flow from the source of the application. So wherever you have your airline source, you want it coming in on the quick disconnect side. So when you do disconnect, you're not going to have air going out into the atmosphere or all over the employee or the operator's hand. We've got locking mechanisms. This is our most common quick disconnect socket. It is our manual socket. It's the lowest cost general purpose coupler. You have to manually pull the sleeve back to insert the plug. To remove the plug, you're simply going to pull the sleeve back as well. It uses a series of ball bearings inside the socket to lock down on the groove in the plug. The negatives of the socket, it can kind of trap some dirt or accumulate fluid. But with the standard industrial interchange, it's most widely used in the industry. So you're going to have a lot of people out in the field that say, hey, I just have an industrial fitting. This design of the coupler is not intended to use with heavy vibration. With the heavy vibration, it can damage the ball bearings and cause effect called Brunelling. I've got another slide that's going to actually show some of the effects of what happens if you use it in the wrong application. Raise your hand if you knew that you can actually clean your quick disconnect sockets. Great. Over time, your quick disconnect sockets can actually build up with grime, especially in between the body of the fitting and the sleeve. We suggest using just a warm, soapy water after you disconnect your plug or from your socket. Just simply swish it around in some soapy water. We like using Dawn dish liquid. Sometimes you can even use WD-40 to remove that buildup in there, and then you're going to have your coupler back to the longevity of what our fittings actually perform to. With that Brunelling, the application for a heavy vibration, you will see the pinging sensation there under the nipple portion of that plug. When it's under heavy vibration, it's going to beat and bing into the plug. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had a customer say, hey, I have a quick disconnect socket that the plug is stuck into. Almost without fail, when we have a customer that calls us and says this, the problem is because the plug half of the coupler is threaded directly into the air inlet of a vibrating air tool such as an impact wrench, a scaler, or a chipper. When that happens, it's almost like you have to line up the ball bearings inside the coupler where it beamed inside the plug to be able to disconnect. With this happening, we always suggest using a hose whip, which is approximately an 18-inch piece of hose. It will have a plug or a male threaded end on the other end to actually screw into the actual air tool and the inlet of the quick connect coupler. It's going to take the brunt of the actual impact, so you don't have this. This is our automatic socket. It is a one-handed operation using long-wearing pin-type locking mechanism. It also has a greater contact with the plug. It accepts the plug by simply inserting into the socket and does not require retraction of the sleeve to connect. You're going to hear the term push to connect with this. The one-piece sleeve is got a rear crimp, so it's actually one piece. It also provides a leak-proof seal. How about a poll, Courtney? All right. The poll is, how many quick connect couplers do you get requests for, automatic or manual? Looks like we're getting some feedback here. All right, let's go ahead and close that poll, Ms. Courtney. It looks like about 79% of your customers are asking for manual couplers. You're going to see that a lot because it is the general purpose coupler. It's low cost. Everybody's got them out in the, excuse me, sorry, I had a sneeze coming on. You're going to see them more out in the field, the manual couplers. I personally like the automatic. If you're an operator out in the field and you're using the coupler all the time, plugging and uncoupling with different air tools, a push to connect is a lot easier application than just actually using the manual coupler. All right, our pneumatic profiles. One of the things that you are going to see in our catalog on our website, we provide profile drawings. You can ask for printable versions of these. They are to scale. You can actually lay your plug and socket down on these profile drawings to verify which product that you actually have in hand. As various manufacturers started to offer quick detachable couplers, most of them entered the market with their own design, which was different from their competitors. Everybody that uses quick connect couplers, you're going to see a variation. They all have to be the same fit, form, and function. The only thing that you can change is the stamping of maybe where you put your part number. The knurling around the sleeve can be different, but it has to meet a certain specifications. Back over 50 years ago, there was a creation of a spec called the mill spec. It's called mill-C-4109. It's for the one-way shutoff. This design is the most commonly used and referred to as the standard industrial interchange. It has to meet that spec. Like I said, you're going to find couplers out in the market that look like everybody else's, that they're supposed to look like everybody else's. They're supposed to operate just like everybody else's. The only thing that can be different is one, the part numbers or the outside design. We also offer an interchange called a non-standard interchange. With this, you will see our LN series. It's also known as the Lincoln or the long nose. We also have the True Flate. It can also be known as the automotive design. It interchanges with the competitor's name of Parker. We also have the FRL series, which is the ring lock. Also, people call it the Hansen ring lock. It interchanges with Hansen. We have our O and A series located there at the bottom, the green and red band. It interchanges with Hansen. It's an oxygen and acetylene type fitting. These fittings, like I said, we color code for an oxygen service and acetylene so you can't cross contaminate lines and have an injury. Then we have our other Schrader and ARO. The Schrader series is also a twist lock. It interchanges with a heavy duty or just the Schrader standard. And of course, we have our series 210 and our 310. It interchanges with the Aero design. Our 5 most common end connections. We start out with the first one, which is our reusable fitting. The next one with the yellow plastic ring is called our push-on hose barb. The third one would be just a standard hose barb. Then the fourth picture would be your male pipe thread. And your last one would be your standard female pipe thread. All these connection sizes are ranging from 1/8 inch to 1 inch MPT national pipe thread. The 1/8 to 1 inch in a standard hose barb that requires a hose clamp to secure it to the hose. We've got the 1/4 to 1/2 inch push-on hose barb, and then the 1/4 to 1/2 inch ID reusable hose stem. When it comes to our quick disconnect fittings, Foster Manufacturing tried to make it easy to read part numbers and stamping on all of our fittings. All of our part numbers are clearly marked somewhere on the fitting. In the example fixtures down below, you will see on the socket end, which is the female portion of that particular part, you will see the marking of 3003. Also on the sleeve, I hope you can read that. It does say the 3 series. So for all of our manual quick disconnect sockets, the sleeve will be stamped Springfield, Missouri, Foster Manufacturing. It will have a 3 series, 4 series, 5 series, and even the 2 series, which is the 1/8 inch. That is your basic series. You're going to find that labeled into the catalog under each of the series of the industrial interchange. When it comes to the safety vent portion of the fittings, we actually leave the SV for safety vent stamped on the actual socket end as well. But all of our basic part numbers come up with a 4 digits, which is stamped on the end of the fitting. So when you actually are out in the field and you have a customer, that's the first place you want to look. Even when you call customer service here at Foster Manufacturing, the customer service is going to ask, what's written on the sleeve of the fitting? What is written on the socket end of it? Is it got female pipe thread, male pipe thread, or even a hose barb? Those are information that we need to know to help identify the fitting that you have in your hand. On the non-standard interchanges and other types of our fittings, we use a prefix to the basic socket end part number to indicate the series or the interchange or the design. For example, our series 210, you will notice on that first picture on the sleeve, we actually stamped the part number 210. That helps identifies that this is an Aero design. The FM5205, you will see the FM5 stamped actually on the part. That's going to help you determine that you have the FM5, which would be a 1/2 inch body in the automatic series. Then we have the True Flate, which is the TF3. That is your automotive interchange. As you can see in this picture, you're going to see that part number 3003 listed on our standard industrial series. You see it that can be also put on our 210 series and our True Flate automatic series. This is where ordering can come into play. There's a lot of times a customer will call us here and need pricing and availability on a 210 3003 or even just a standard 3003, but give us a 210 plug part number. If a customer orders just a standard 3003 and asks for a 210-10 plug, that item will not couple together. That is why it's important to verify what is printed or stamped on the actual sleeve of the fitting. That will help create the complete part number. When it comes to the A and O series that we talked about earlier in the other set of pictures, we stamp an O60 and an A70 on the actual sleeve of the fitting. The green and red bands are a visual. The green band is going to note for oxygen service, and of course the red for acetylene service. That's the same prefix. We have the O in front of the part number or the A in front of the part number for acetylene, and then your basic 4-digit part number for the socket end. Now we're going to get into how to select the proper quick disconnect. When you're at a customer's, you got 4 basic factors that you need to consider to proper select the quick disconnect. It is the type, operation, flow, and media. All couplers consist of 2 basic components. You need to have a socket and a plug to make your application work. The type of couplers varies by the valving arrangement in the 2 components. So let's go to type. We have our one-way shutoff. Only the socket has the valving in this quick disconnect. So it's going to shut off the flow when you disconnect the socket from the plug. The socket is installed on the pressured side of the line. The plug has no valving and it exhausts the downstream line at disconnect. Then we have an item called a two-way shutoff. Both the socket and the plug provide valving, therefore shutting off the flow of both disconnected ends. You're going to use a two-way shutoff in, say, a fluid or hydraulic application where when you do disconnect, you're not going to have fluid all over the floor or into the operator's hand. Then we also have our straight-through type. There is no valving in either the socket or the plug. Therefore, both ends of the line exhaust at disconnect. You're going to see this type of fitting on power washers. Anything that when you disconnect, you're most likely going to have the flow shut off before you actually disconnect. So now we're going to go to the operation. So once you know your type, you go to your operation. How is this person going to be using this quick disconnect? Manual. Manual sockets require manual retraction of both the sleeve and the plug to disconnect. You've got your automatic, where you're simply just going to insert your plug into the socket. You don't have to retract to connect. Then you have your safety coupler. Safety sockets are a variation of an automatic operation. The socket actually accepts the plug, and we actually have a pattern that's stamped actually on the fitting to help use this as an on and an off locking mechanism. You actually move the sleeve forward to lock the plug into the socket. You're going to have airflow. Then we simply turn the sleeve by rotating it, and then it actually shuts off or exhausts the downstream pressure, and then it releases the plug when you actually pull it back. A lot of companies will use this in airdrops from the ceiling or even use it for as an on and off application. Flow. Proper sizing is going to get you the correct flow of your fitting. So with Foster Manufacturing, we provide the data of how to use the fitting in the safest application. We give you your pressure ratings coupled. We give you the body size. We give you the pressure drop with airflow and water flow. You don't want to use a small quick disconnect socket if you're needing a large amount of flow of air. The smaller the size, the smaller the flow. Of course, the larger the size, the bigger the flow. And all of our flow diagrams are located in the catalog with each section. So the industrial interchange will have this flow chart. Our two-way section will actually have the flow chart for that product data. And all flows shown are for female pipe thread for our quick disconnect couplers. And then the last to find how is the actual fitting going to be used with the media? The media flowing through the coupler will determine the type. So if you're using compressed air, some liquids, that can actually be handled by just a standard one-way shutoff. If you're using hydraulic fluids or any other type of liquids, two-way shutoffs are the best. And of course, straight through couplers are suitable for when there's no pressure in the line at connect or disconnect, and the loss of media at the disconnection actually doesn't matter. So with the media running through the fitting, you're going to hear from customer service when you're, hey, I'm not for sure what type of quick disconnect I need. They're going to ask you what is running through the fitting, what is the media. If it's strictly air, they're probably going to lead you to a one-way shutoff. If it's a fluid or a transfer, you're probably going to want to go the two-way shutoff route. We hear this a lot. What's the difference between your ball lock and your sleeve lock? Well, the manual sockets use the ball lock feature to prevent accidental disconnects. In our automatic series, we use our SL feature. It prevents the accidental disconnects just like the ball lock feature. We just simply remove the FM and replace it with the SL. There's other competitors that actually put the SL on the end of their product. It all means the same thing. We just actually put it in the beginning of our part numbers. So for example, we've got our 4 series socket there, the part number 4104. We wanted the ball lock attachment on it, so we simply put BL 4104. And the same thing with the female pipe thread socket of the 4004. We wanted the automatic, so we chose the SL option. How the actual features work, we're going to line the ball up with the notch in the sleeve to be able to insert the plug. On the manual socket, you will manually pull the sleeve back, and of course on the automatic, you will be able to push to connect. Then to simply rotate the sleeve, we just rotate the sleeve so it doesn't line up with the notch. This is going to prevent your accidental disconnect. A lot of companies will use this feature if they are dragging hoses on the ground. If it can get hung up, say, on a table or a skid. A lot of people use this for a safety feature. OSHA loves this in factories because they are preventing accidental disconnects. Applications that you might see around in a manufacturing plant. This just happens to be Foster Manufacturing. We've got blowguns. You'll see a blowgun connected to a quick disconnect on the end of a hose. This is where we mentioned the safety vents, where they're airdrops piped from the ceiling, hard-mounted piped. That way you can have hoses to machines at the end. We use box staplers here all the time. We even have our quick disconnects on foot pedals for an air operation. Here's some application highlights. Just want to let everybody know, if you have an application and you just don't know if it needs to be customized, either, the quick disconnect needs to be a little bit smaller, the plug needs to have no hex, please bring that information to your RSM. Here at Foster Manufacturing, we have CNC machines. We have engineers between here and the Ideal Trident Group. We have the capability of making specialty products. For instance, this one is for the helicopter testing for the welds. It's simply a vacuum box testing equipment using our standard 10-3 stainless steel plug with a ball valve handle. It's actually testing the welds to make sure that everything is okay and not having any type of problems with the welding for the military. That safety vent coupler that we were talking about, one of the applications that are used is in the wind turbines and the gearboxes of those great big wind turbine units that you see out in, say, Kansas. And, that particular part is great for you for high flow pneumatic lines. It can be used as an on and off. The equipment is one operation. You're not having the back pressure to disconnect, and it's safer for the employee actually using it because you're not going to have a hose whip when you do disconnect. Over-the-road trucking, you're going to see compressor accessory kits. This particular one was using our TrueFlate and a blowgun kit. You can have typically several sockets, plugs. This one is showing an air chuck, the Teflon taping, the blowgun, and of course the plugs and sockets and the attachments that we offer in our blowgun kits. This one here, if you notice H1 and H2, when we were talking about the CNC machines, these are actually modified plugs for the application for this heater cooler line flusher equipment. When we say that you might need the same industrial plug, maybe it's specialized in that we need to use for your application. That is something that we can do here at Foster Manufacturing. Bring those information to your RSM. Like I said, profile drawings we can reverse engineer. We can come up with something that can help your need in new applications. We don't always say no. Sometimes there's applications that we just can't physically make here, but we do give it our true effort, and we can make that item in brass, steel, stainless steel, regular 303, and 316 stainless steel as well. Now, new products. I'm going to ask for a raise of hand if everybody on the webinar actually saw the new product flyer release for our universal high flow automatic coupling. Great. Well, with this actual fitting, this was one of our releases. We try to roll out new products every couple of quarters. This one is actually our universal high flow automatic coupling. It actually accepts the Aero 210, the 3 Series industrial interchange, that TrueFlate automotive, and of course the European high flow. It is made here in the USA. It is 100% all brass. It offers that push to connect operation. With that automatic coupler that you saw earlier, those are a little bit of fatter mushroom head. This is a slimmer profile. It makes it a little easier to get into tight spaces using this fitting. Not only that, you could have one product on the shelf versus 3 different quick disconnect sockets. So this quick disconnect socket that comes in female pipe thread and male pipe thread will accept all those different interchanges. So if you have a customer out there that changes between industrial interchange, TrueFlate, or even Aero, or they just don't know which plug that they have, this actual quick disconnect will couple with it. The European high flow is actually a SANE 320 series cross. We offer that in the 5 sizes that you see there. So you're going to get more flow. High flow valve, you're going to get 20% more increased airflow with a 1/4 inch body size. So when you're going and you're looking and you're asking your customer what type of flow they might need, they tell you that they need a high flow. This is the quick disconnect that will help you with that. Talking points with customers. We want to help sell our product. If you have questions, when you're in a factory, do they have any recent safety accidents, accidental disconnects, damaged QDs by dropping? That's the information that you need that you can go in with and talk about our ball lock feature, our safety vent, or even our SL. Damaged QGs dropping. We get calls here daily asking for customers needing to repair their quick disconnects, their seals leaking. The first thing I ask for, have they checked their plug? If there's a nick in the plug and you're inserting that back into that manual coupler or automatic coupler, if there's a nick on that plug, it's cutting the actual seal gasket inside that's actually sealing against the plug. So just because they changed the seal out in that quick disconnect doesn't mean it's going to help if the nick on the plug. So one of the things to always look for, hey, is your QDs actually damaged? You should always inspect your quick disconnects before operating. The 5S initiative and plant explore safety vent, the ball lock and sleeve lock. You know, there's a lot of factories that have the 5S's that they use in the plant. Current or ongoing QD issues that continue to go unresolved. We talked about using the quick disconnects in a heavy vibration. Are they using it on a chipper? Well, you know, after a while, they're going to have an issue with the QDs failing all the time. You know, once you find out the application and knowing how they're using it, the form, fit, and function, you can actually go in and resolve these issues by just going and asking those 4 questions. How are you using the fitting, the flow, the actual quick disconnect itself? Um, will help them determine if they actually have the correct part. The leaking QDs, that could be just the wrong seal inside the quick disconnect. Maybe they're using it for high temp temperature. Then they're buying a standard socket with a Buna seal. That Buna seal is only rated for 250 degrees Fahrenheit for air, and they're using it, say, for 400. Simply asking that information, oh, you need a different seal in your quick disconnect. Then multiple QD manufacturers in the facility. You know, highlight the breadth of our offering to combat competition. There are multiple manufacturers of quick disconnects out there. With the Ideal Trident Group, we are a one-stop shop now. We have your quick disconnects. We have your clamping support systems. We have your fluid conveyance. We have a breadth of items that you can get from all of our locations all in one. So if you've got several different QD manufacturers, we've got lists of compatibility. You know, we can get you our part numbers to cross for those customers. So just give your RSM that information. We'd be happy to take a look at it and help you with combat that competition. And of course, offer couplings as a package, tie in other products. You know, that's why I said get your RSMs involved. If you don't know who your RSM is, at the end of this presentation, I will email out information to anybody that would like it. If you don't know who your RSM, let me know. I'll be happy to get you in contact with them and their information. All right. Wanted to say thank you for your time. And if you have any questions or comments, I don't know if anybody saw Brian. Are you on to see if we had any comments or questions?
Yep, we do. And just a reminder for everyone, there's a section off to the side of the webinar to ask questions. So if you've been holding off, go ahead and shoot those in. But we do have a couple here that I'll ask for you. So the first question is, can we use a one-way socket for water?
Yes, you can. Depending on what type of the heat of if it's an ambient type temperature of water, you can actually use just the standard, but anything over 100 degrees, we'd want to change out that seal and use a hot water application. We also, if you're using it for a water application, these quick disconnects on the pneumatic side are typically used for air. We see a lot of pesticide companies use our automatic reusable fittings for their hoses. If they buy the standard ones, they're going to actually rust and leak because they are using a steel valve on the inside instead of a stainless steel. We can simply clear that up for the customer by putting a W on it. That's going to make everything all brass on the outside with stainless steel on the inside. You'd be surprised how many customers use just the pneumatic fittings that are rated for air for a fluid transfer.
Great. Another question here is, can you get a valve in a straight through coupling?
Actually, no, you cannot. The straight through series is a straight through for a reason. You can't get a valve in that one.
Okay. And the last one that we have here is, can you get a pneumatic socket without a valve?
Yes, you can. We simply use the nomenclature of less valve or LV in that fitting. There's times that people want a one-way shutoff without no valve, but they like that profile or that design or that even size. So yes, you can get the less valve in that by simply adding LV to the end of the 4-digit part number.
Great. That's all the questions we have for now. If anybody has a last minute question, go ahead and type that in. But for now, that's all the questions that we had.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody taking their time out of their day and listening to our Foster Quick Disconnect one-way coupling presentation. Like I said, my name is Holly Fender. If you have any questions, I will be reaching out if anybody has any other questions. But thank you for your time, and visit our website at www.zsi-foster.com.